Welcome, everyone. My name is Allison Heaney, Vice President of Learning and Public Programming at the Museum of Latin American Art. We welcome you today, Wednesday, August 24th, 2022, to this edition of MOLAA Zoom Project in conversation with artist Narsiso Martinez, where MOLAA Chief Curator Gabriel Urtiaga will discuss with the artist his work and career. MOLAA also acknowledges the support of the Genesis Inspiration Foundation, the Miller Foundation, Dwight Stewart Youth Fund, and the Arts Council for Long Beach for their constant support of the educational initiatives here at the museum. And a special thanks to the California Arts Council and the Long Beach Immigrants' Rights Coalition for their support of this year's exhibition, Narsiso Martinez, Rethinking Essential. Each chapter of the MOLAA Zoom Project features a conversation between the most remarkable artists from Latin America and Latinx across the US and our MOLAA Chief Curator. Together, we focus on a series of specific artworks which require close inspection, a deliberate process of contemplation and exploration, delving into the ideas surrounding the creation of the works, their sources of research and inspiration, in an effort to immerse ourselves in the world of the artists. In Chapter 24 of MOLAA Zoom Project, we are joined by the multidisciplinary artist Narsiso Martinez, whose work focuses on the lives and labor of the thousands of migrant agricultural workers we depend on for produce. Narsiso Martinez, born in Mexico in 1977, migrated to the United States when he was just 20 years old. He attended Evans Community Adult School and completed high school in 2006 at the age of 29. To finance his education, Martinez worked seasonally in the apple orchards of Eastern Washington for 9 years. He earned an Associate of Arts degree in 2009 from Los Angeles City College. In the fall of 2012, Narsiso earned his Bachelor of Fine Arts from Cal State University Long Beach. And in spring of 2018, he received his MFA degree in drawing and painting from Cal State Long Beach and was awarded the prestigious Daedalus Foundation MFA Fellowship in Painting and Sculpture. His work has been exhibited both locally and internationally. Narsiso's work is in the permanent collections at the Long Beach Museum of Art, the Crocker Art Museum, the Jordan Schnitzer Museum at the University of Oregon, the Santa Barbara Museum, among others. Martinez lives and works in Long Beach, California. As we begin this presentation, we encourage you to share your questions and feedback in the chat feature. We'll also have a Q&A at the end. And just a special note, we are for the very first time trying to do our live Zoom project in the galleries with Narsiso. So it's an incredible special treat. And without further ado, I'd like to hand it over to our Chief Curator, Gabriela Urtiaga.
Thank you, Alison, and all the MOLAA team. Hello, everyone, and welcome to MOLAA. Bienvenidos a MOLAA. I hope you are well and safe, and thank you for joining us today. Hola, Narciso, querido, good to see you.
Hey, Gabriela, likewise. It's very nice seeing you again.
Yeah, thank you so much for this meeting at MOLAA, where we are celebrating your new show, Rethinking Essential. It's a real pleasure to have you with us today. And Narciso, before we start the analysis of your exhibition and artwork that you create for MOLAA's gallery, I would like to invite you to start our conversation talking about your beginnings as an artist, starting as a boy who grew up in a little town in Oaxaca, Mexico, and if you can share with us your feeling and thought when you discovered the necessity to be an artist and the possibility to develop a career in the middle of a crucial context as a part of the community of immigrants in the US.
Thank you, Gabriela. Thank you, MOLAA. Thank you, MOLAA team, for inviting me and for going through this Zoom event. Of course, I will. Of course, yeah, I will share a little bit of my background, and I don't know how much far back I need to go, but I guess I'm gonna highlight certain things that I think are important to understand the context of the exhibition. I was born in a small town in Oaxaca, in Mexico. It is a farm community, and I mean, I went to the field since as a young kid with my dad and my older brothers. Um, I I like to draw since I was a kid. I would do drawings for my neighbors, friends. Um, I came to the United States when I was about 20. I feel like because at that time when I was growing up, I feel like the community was really poor, and I remember young teenagers coming to the United States, not only to the United States, but they would also go to Mexico City and other parts as well, where they would go work and then come back for the annual celebration of the town. And I remember seeing them wearing like nice clothes, like nice shoes. And kids growing up, I feel like we wanna do the same, right? And so as soon as I turned 18, 19, I came to the United States in search of that, right? And I came to the United States, and I think the first thing I wanted to do was to learn the language. I feel like when I came, I was I like music and I like the movies, and I wanted to know what they were about. And I went to an adult school. I went to Evans Community Adult School. I finished the program. Uh, English was still difficult, so my teachers recommended I should keep taking classes. I enrolled in the high school for adults program, which was in the same school. I did because I didn't go to school. Well, I actually did go to school in Mexico, but I only went through ninth grade. I got kicked out at 10th grade because I failed more than 3 classes. Obviously, I was not learning the materials, and I was not interested, I guess. So when I came here during the process of learning English, going to the high school program, I actually got interested in learning. So I read more books than they were required. I was excited about math and the science and history. And I know there's a lot more to learn, but I think I tried to learn as much as possible. I mean, I finished high school 2006, and I decided to enroll at a community college because my teachers encouraged me, and because my teachers made me believe that I could do it, as opposed to growing up in an environment where it was always a little bit negative, I would say. But anyways, yes, I believe my teachers. I went to community college, and there was at this point where when I decided that I was going to finish a career, it doesn't matter what. I didn't know I was going to do art yet, but I knew I wanted to break that cycle of my family, of my culture, of my town, that I could go to school and have a career. And so I went to community college. Like everybody else, took general classes. I think I was interested in the sciences first, but then I switched to art when I took an art history class, and I learned about many other artists. But I also fell in love with the art of Vincent van Gogh. I think more than the colors, I think it was the subject matter. No, I think seeing those scenes of they daily life peasants or agricultural landscapes. I think it reminded me of my hometown. And at this point, I decided that I not only wanted to learn how to paint because I never painted before, but I also wanted to improve my drawing skills because to this point, I had never taken any drawing classes. I was just drawing on my own. And so that's when I decided to go to art school. I enrolled. I talked to my counselors. They drew a map for me, and I transferred to Cal State Long Beach in 2000. It was 2009, and at that point, I was financing all my studies on my own because obviously I didn't have my parents here. So I worked in different jobs to do that. But when I went to Cal State Long Beach after the first semester, I noticed that my savings were really low and that I was not going to make it to the following semester. So I talked about this with my brothers who were working in Washington State, and they suggested I should work in the fields and that they would help me out with shelter and food so that I could save my paychecks. So that was it. I gave it a try. After that, I worked every season throughout my undergrad and my graduate program to pay for tuition. And then in 2012, I I received my bachelor's degree in fine arts, and in 2018, I got my master's degree in fine arts with emphasis in drawing and painting. It was during this period of time where I think during my undergraduate program, it was about the money. I would work in the fields for money. But then during the graduate program, because of the nature of the program with the research and the thesis paper, I think it pushed me to look beyond just myself, right? When working in the fields, I noticed that it was not about me making money, but it was about the whole group struggling to reach a goal, right? My coworkers were struggling to feed their families. I was struggling to pay for my tuition, and we were all facing the same issues as like mistreatment in the job, paying condition, low pay wages, difficult working conditions, and then I thought that these stories could be shared through art, and that I could do this the center of my art, and that's how it all began. It was during the middle of the graduate program when I started doing farm workers portraits, because I thought that these stories needed to be told.
Wow. Narciso, thank you for sharing, and you are an inspiration, and we are so happy to share with our audience your creative process and your experience. And Narciso, during our different conversation preparing your show, I recognize that you continue to experiment every day with different materials and support, because it means a lot for your creative journey, right? And you desire to pay tribute to your friends, your family, and your Latino community in your body of work. And regarding that, Narciso, if you like, we can focus that story around Friends in Freshness from 2017, one of your installation, and explain to us a little more about your creative process, talking about Friends in Freshness.
Of course, yeah. We're going to walk a little bit towards this side of the gallery where Fresh and Freshness is. So I sculpture installation piece back in 2017, I believe. It was the idea was born out of not only the necessity of creating something larger, but also the necessity to tell what we Latinos or what we immigrants do in the United States. It was at a time when the 45th president was campaigning, and I remember him saying these negative remarks about immigrants or Mexicans, and I wanted to show the contribution, the hard work and contribution of the Latino people to the nation. And in my head was, I wanna draw some images of farm workers showing a massive amount of fruit, a massive amount of produce, which is the contributions that we bring to the nation, right? And at the same time, I wanted to I wanted to bring this idea of how the produce is transported from one place to another. So that's why it is in the pallet. It is stacked up all the way to the top, because it's also part of my experiences when I worked at a produce warehouse. When it comes to technicality, I remember me struggling on how to convey that bountiness of produce. So I started cutting up images from other boxes and collaging them on these boxes. And I don't know if the camera can see it, but like there is a lot of, I try to create this massive amount of produce on the bottom, and then going up to the farm workers, which is delivering the fruit. So I experimented with collage, with ink, gouache, charcoals, and it has four sides. People can actually walk around this piece and see There is another farm worker showing the produce on this side. There is an actual, there is another frontal figure actually like presenting the produce on this side, which I thought would be very powerful to show like somebody frontal. And and it's the same on this side. This is the second sculpture that I have created up to this point, where I wanted people to walk around and think about these individuals who are working every day in the fields to provide with produce. It is also worth mentioning that I created this piece at the Long Beach Museum of Art during a residency that I did right before I graduated. So thank you for that. It provided with a large space because when I was in school, I only had like a little space. But as soon as I saw this large space at the museum, I was like, okay, I'm going to create something big and something meaningful. I hope I achieved that.
Yes, and it's really important to present this, one of your first installation in combination and dialogue with the new pieces. And Narciso, another important series that I really love is Fruit Catcher from 2021-2022. And could you explain the main idea about this beautiful golden portrait that I can see them like a symbol of abundance? I love when you talk about the idea of abundance around the farm worker, but also linking with the vegetables and fruit, with a lot of layers of meaning, with high impact surfaces and textures that you create here. And we would really love to know more about what was your formula and your idea in this particular series.
Yes, thank you, Gabi. Yeah, I mean, I have always liked to draw, right? And I always like to draw people. I always like to draw portraits. So for this series, I wanted to show the farm workers in a more, I guess, frontal way, because they are the box is well, let's see here. The box is casing the farm worker, and I decided to add some simple leaf in the background to represent some kind of elevated status. No, I feel like I don't want to say saints, because I guess saints at one point were real, but when I think saints, it's like not real. But I just want to show the elevated status, that they are important, and there are 4 on this series, and like so 2 of them are masked. They have a mask and they have a hoodie, and 2 of them are not. So it is this idea that's going to run throughout the exhibition, where I try to bring this idea of we are protected, but we're not. Not only in the fields, literally with some kind of gear that protects farm workers, but also within the system, right? Because we are here working, but then we are not. So yeah, that's kind of like the story behind these portraits. There are 2 on one side and 2 on each side. This is I think I rarely draw like young farm workers, but these, I think I wanted to show like I wanted to represent young kids who are high schoolers and during the summers work in the fields, and sometimes they are able to make it to college. Sometimes they get trapped in the same old working in the fields. And I just want to say shout out to all the kids who are able to go out there into the world and get a college degree and move on. There's nothing wrong working in the fields, but with I feel like with education we can defend ourselves.
Yeah. And Narciso, we can talk about the next series that is linked with this portrait also, that is so political and critical of the system. It's Ghost Portrait, one of your new pieces, right, that we are presenting in the gallery. And could you tell us about your message in this particular series and your approach and connection with the Latino community, because there is an intrinsic coherence there as a significant closeness between the medium that you use and its content, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah. This is actually the second edition of Ghost Prints. I think I was sort of like playing with the idea of ghost prints. If you notice, they are all like somehow covered up with bandanas, masks, and or goggles, and obviously this is to protect themselves from the harsh weather conditions, from pesticides, residues that are in the fields, goggles so that the branches don't go in your eyes. There are many different reasons, right, for why farm workers protect themselves. Sadly, when people work by the contract, either or have to people get rid of their bandanas or their goggles, or sometimes both, because it's sort of like difficult to work under this condition. When it comes to process, I every semester when I was in college, I was taking a printmaking class. For those of you who are not familiar with printmaking, I think the easiest way to describe it is like a stand. It's we use a piece of linoleum or wood, and then we draw the figure on it. We carved up the figure. The light parts are the ones that are cut out, and the parts with the ink is where the surface is untouched. So I call it ghost prints, playing on this double meaning of technicality and a metaphor for individuals who work in the United States with no documentation, right? I think when it comes to technicality, in printmaking terms, ghost is the second print of the first one. The first print obviously is when it's inked and then pressed into paper, and then the residue of the ink left in that print is printed again. And because it's not as strong as the first one, it's called the ghost print. So these are second prints. That's what it's called, the ghost prints. Because this image was inked and then printed on cardboard and then printed on this material, which is Duralar, and then we have this ghostly kind of figure. And I was playing with this idea of the ghost in terms of undocumented workers. I feel like a lot of us in the fields don't have documents, and so we are here because we work the produce, we do the hard work, but we're not here because we cannot enjoy the benefits of any other documented employee, right? We are at a disadvantage, and so because we're here but we're not here, to me it's kind of like a ghost.
Yeah. And Narciso, another important piece is the video that you made during numerous visits in California and Washington State Farm. And I know that the farm worker situation is so important for you. And through your investigation, reflection, and questions, you propose new conversation that cannot be postponed, right? With the idea to transform, establish categories and injustice. Tell us about these real protagonists that as a window we are presenting in the gallery with your video.
Yes, yeah, like the video is on this side of the gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's sort of like a window to like a more realistic, more crude kind of way to see things, no? I know that there are warnings when I see images on the internet that would say like a crude image and you have a warning so that you get shocked. So this is what actually happens in the field. These two pieces of video. It's a collage of recordings that I did when I was working up in Washington State, and part of it is when I was visiting field workers here in the Central Valley. The idea was to show like the skills that these people have when it comes to picking up produce, no, and the risks that they take. One is working on the ground, and then the other one is working up high in a ladder. So these both sort of like share like the same risk. They are not wearing protections on their faces, and well, the first one sort of is, but still is a little it's a little crude to see. It's a reality to see them with no mask, even during during the pandemic time. I feel like farmers are not well protected yet.
Yeah, and Narciso, to finalize this amazing analysis of your work and open the Q&A session, I would like to talk about the fabulous mural, Legal Tender, and unique large painting that you create for this show. And it will be fantastic if you can introduce us to the different stories that you are talking about, because this is an unique piece. And at the same time, you are talking here about the past, the present, and the future of the culture, the heritage, the ancestor, knowledge, and we can find a lot of stories in your large mural, right?
Yes. Thank you, Gabby. How many minutes do we have on this?
No, you can take your time. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. So it's like a large piece. It's like about 22 and a half, maybe 23 feet long by about almost 6 or 7 feet high. I can't remember the exact measurements, but so first, when I first started doing this, I wanted to do the economy, right? How important are farm workers to the economy? So I choose some patterns of the dollar bill, and I use simple leaf to represent that. You can see on each corner there's like a symbol with the number 1. The center figure is also borrowed. I mean, the pattern is also borrowed from the dollar bill. I switched the original image from the dollar bill to a woman. I think I wanted to honor women. I feel like throughout history, women have been oppressed. They have been stripped of the opportunities that they could have, such as education, and so I wanted to honor women, give importance to women. This is 22, and I feel like we all should have the same opportunities. I play with the same idea of being protected, not being protected. It's hard to see maybe through the internet, but this central figure here has a mask, has the outline of a mask, not the actual mask. Again, we are here, but we're not here. We are protected, we're not protected. Sort of like the idea of that represented by the mask. Like you mentioned, Gavi, I sort of wanted to bring the past, the present, and the future. So you can see scenes of people working with ladders, which suggests they are picking fruit up high in trees. There is a couple. I wanted to represent them sort of like proud, standing there, feeling good that what they do is important in this country. The same way on this side, there is a scene of letter speakers, and I sort of wanted to bring this attention of the past. I know I only went through the 60s, but if you think about it, like throughout history, the system have been oppressing these minorities who unfortunately are usually at a disadvantage, like the Native Americans, the slaves, the Irish, the Asians in the fields, and what I brought here was the bracero. During the bracero program, I drew a portrait of actually my grandpa who came and worked in the 60s and working with cotton fields and the tomato fields. And I wanted to honor not only him, but the whole, all the braceros who came during that time who were abused. And it's not so difficult to Google images and see how these individuals were treated, right? I wanted to honor him and all of the braceros and all the people who have been abused throughout history within the system of the United States. I also wanted to talk about sort of like what's happening now. I feel like a lot of people migrate from different countries to the United States to work in different jobs, but also like in the fields, right? I happen to know the story of these young men who come every season to work in the fields, strawberries. He would pick strawberries, but then at one point he couldn't make it, right? He got lost. His family got they lost touch with him, and and throughout the course of a year they were looking for him, and sadly when the authorities contacted the family member, it was to tell them that he had passed away and that they needed to identify the body. I wanted to honor those people who can make it, but like have also that intention of working hard, right? So there is a portrait over there on the top, and also what would happen in the future, right? I really want the community to understand that whether it is a colonial idea or something like that, and they seem such a little negative, that you can make money without an education, which is true. But I think education is important to understand other cultures, other communities. And there's a graduation cap over there at the very top with a golden tassel, and I really wish for farm workers to educate themselves. And I know that it's very difficult because it's a very exhausting kind of job where you just want to get home, have a drink, and go to sleep. But I feel like I hope that they encourage the future generations to go to school and to get an education. I think it's important to get the tools to defend ourselves, to get better jobs, to get respect in the fields. There's nothing wrong working in the fields, but sometimes having an education helps us to demand better wages and working conditions, and most important, respect. No.
Yeah. Thank you, Narciso. Well, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and we are so happy to have you here at MOLAA, because also your artwork is amazing, an amazing aesthetic experience, but also your message and your work is like a philosophical proclamation that we really love to share. We are sharing with our audience, and people really love your show here. And if you are ready now, I would like to present Daniel, the curatorial assistant, to open the Q&A session.
Hello.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Hi, how are you?
Then,
I have a question here, actually. Is there a message or something you'd like to tell other first-generation Latino artists who are exploring their identities and backgrounds in this practice in the art world?
yes, of course. Yeah, I feel like when I was deciding to go to art school, when I started doing artwork, I got a lot of I didn't get a lot of support. Let's put it that way. And but I knew in my heart that this is what I wanted to do, whether I was going to make money or not. This is what I wanted to do, and it was the love for the drawing, for portraying, that led me to this road. I did not know I was going to draw farm workers, but I knew I wanted to draw. Right, that's the drive that told me that this is what I wanted to study. And if you love to do art, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of art. You should just pursue it. Don't let other negatives, comments or critiques discourage you, because at the end of the day, it is you, and you're the only one who's feels happy when you do art. So just keep doing it, and the reward comes later. No.
Mm-hmm. I like that answer a lot.
Thank you.
Another question here is, what are your thoughts on becoming a teaching artist for the community? what kind of thoughts have crossed your mind as you carry out your practice as well?
Oh, teaching. Okay, teaching. I love teaching. I think, yeah, no, my respect to all the teachers. It's a very difficult job because you have those. I feel like there is a responsibility of all the students, you know, to get the most out of the classes. And I think art is such a difficult subject to teach because it's not like math. You know, 1 + 1 is 2, and you get the result. You know, but like art is like how do you grade art? You know, and I think when it comes to teaching. I think I want to go for the easy part. I would like to teach drawing and painting, and I said easier as in like more technical stuff. You know, I think it's important. That's what it drew me to the art school because I really wanted to improve my drawing skills. And no, teaching the community how to do art is amazing. If I could, I would do it definitely. Because you are instilling in those students a little bit of the positivity, you know, that art brings.
I like that. We
Thank
still
you.
have Q&A open if anyone would like to ask any more questions. Yes, also in chat too, any questions? Yes, we have another question here. Coming from Perla, can you talk about the mediums you've used for your paintings and why you've chosen these mediums?
Looks like we have a little bit of freeze in the gallery. Let me try and make sure that connection works. And while we're waiting for Narciso to come back on, there were also a couple of questions too about whether or not the farm workers depicted were actual people, which of course, I know Gabriela, we've heard him discuss that they are, which is wonderful. I see Narciso's back on, wonderful. Do you want to repeat the question, Daniel?
Yes. Can you talk about the mediums you've used for your paintings and why you've chosen them?
I think we might have a little bit of an audio drop. So while they're working on that, so Narciso, could you hear that? You could hear Daniel's question, thumbs up? I don't think you can.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, there you go. Perfect. Yeah, so I guess there's a couple questions from the audience about your particular use of cardboard. For example, you choose to use the produce box. Could you talk a little bit more about the cardboard and the produce box?
Yeah. It's not. It's not like it came out of nowhere. I feel like I've been friends with the cardboard since undergrad. One time I went to see a show by Dominic Katara, who used to teach at Cal State Long Beach, and it was a group show, but he had at least one painting on cardboard, and I really fell in love with the idea of the tan tone of the cardboard representing the skin of the figure. So from there, I did some drawings on cardboard. During my classes, I would gesso cardboard and do oil paintings on them. And then when I was looking up in Washington, I worked in my sister would go to Costco, bring boxes, and I would cut out some parts of the box to draw on those pieces of cardboard. And then at one point, I did a large drawing on mattress cardboard. And then there was a time when I was doing oil paintings in school, but then I stopped doing oil paintings because it was too technical. And then I think I went to Costco another time, and I brought with me a banana box, and then I drew a banana man on this banana box. It was at a time where I was having kind of difficulty bringing the message across on my old painting. So I stopped painting, and then I did this drawing of a banana box, and I took it to my class, and then people sort of like reacted more positive, and they sort of suggested that the ideas that I wanted to tell in art were the primary subject of conversations instead of the technical part of the art. And so it was exciting to learn that I was saying, oh, I was sort of like starting this conversation between the materials, right? The mark makings of the charcoal against the labels of the food, and not only that, but I was also speaking about the idea of seeing a farm worker and seeing an agricultural company in the same spot and space, and that these could expand to more to different conversations of within the same subject. So after that, it just grew. You know, I started doing multiple portraits on multiple boxes. I did more. I assembled more boxes and did more complicated compositions. I started stacking up boxes and did sculptures such as the one we saw before. So yeah, that's how it all started.
Really nice. Really enjoy hearing that. We have another question here. Have you encountered many concerns about preservation with your cardboard pieces?
Sorry, that was breaking.
Have you encountered many concerns about preservation with your cardboard pieces?
Oh, I see. You know, when I first started doing this kind of work, I was not concerned at all. I think the conversations were very important for me. I did not care about whether it was going to last an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, or, you know, I didn't care. I just wanted to be in the moment, speaking about what it meant to have these agribusiness labels and the farm workers in the same spot, and talk about the advantages and disadvantages and the fairness and unfairness of the system. That was important for me. And I really care. I think after I graduated, I started getting all these questions. How are you going to preserve the cardboard? Are you concerned? And then in my own experience, because I had pieces that I've done since the beginning of the program, I think I was showing them around a lot, so they're literally the same security. And so I started experimenting with different kind of medias to protect the cover a little bit longer. I'm not sure how much longer, but I think I came across this product from Nova Color. It's called Nova Color Matte Gel, and it has a number. I can't remember the number is it, but I really liked it because first, it's not too opaque, it's not too shiny, and it's sort of like in between. And when I apply it to the cardboard, it sort of like unifies the whole. And when it dries, it's water-based, and when it dries very plasticky. It's very hard. So I settled for that, and now every time I do a cardboard piece, I try to seal it with that medium.
All right, thank you. We have two last questions here. One is very lighthearted. I think you'd like this one. What is your favorite fruit?
Favorite fruit? I don't think I have a favorite fruit. I think when I work in the fields, I feel like I do not eat fruit at all because
Really?
I don't know. It's just ideas of like the wax, the chemicals that are applied to the tree. I worked for an orchard that I just very started, and I actually literally planted the little plants from the beginning. And even before that, they prepare the land with some kind of chemicals, and after the plants are already there, they add more chemicals. And when they are growing up, they add a different kind of chemicals. Because I not only work in the field, but I also was able to work in the office where all the paperwork comes and all the chemicals arrived, and I was able to see and to measure all these chemicals, and it's kind of scary. Like because we have to tie certain branches to some kind of wires. If there's no branch and that particular spot of the tree, you can actually apply some kind of chemical there, and then the branches grow. And then, and if the trees are not bearing enough fruit, they apply some kind of product, and then the tree bears a lot of fruit, and oh wait, it has too many fruit. So we apply some kind of other product, and then it drops some kind of fruit. It's just crazy. It's all about chemicals and products, and it seems so artificial that for so long I didn't need any fruit. But so yeah, I don't think I have a particular one that is my favorite. I like the ugly ones. I don't know, the ugly looking ones.
Totally understandable. All right. And I think we have one last question. What are your main themes you would like for viewers to consider while viewing your work?
I think at the very least acknowledge these people. At the very least acknowledge that these are individuals who have families, who have dreams, who have stories, who deserve equal opportunities.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. And thank you, Narciso, again. It's a real pleasure. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your experience, and your creation. And thank you for your generosity to be here with us today.
Thank you, Gabby, and thank you to the team of MOLAA. It was a real pleasure talking to you guys and girls, and thank you for inviting me to the show.
Oh yes, we really enjoy to see your show here every day.
And on that note, I was going to say, your exhibit is on until January, I believe. Rethinking Essential, we've dropped a link there to reserve your spot. There's also going to be some programming coming up, some printmaking workshops, a couple of art workshops inspired by Narciso and his vision and creation. So we very much look forward to that. Please look on our website. You can also follow us on MOLAA.art on Instagram. So thank you everyone for joining us for this very special chapter. Thank you for your patience as we play with the tech. It was wonderful to have Narciso in the galleries with his artwork. Congratulations, Narciso, from everyone here at MOLAA. We'll see you soon. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.